lady, you know me no forgive up on you never. Wanna be with you forever, 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 forever. Oh baby, where we they go now forward ever, backward never. Them they pray make we run down never, 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 never. I'ma get that low. Girl, you're the best I know. Our next move they never know, they never know. Money go check low. Girl, you're the best I know. Our next move they never know, they never know. They never know. They never know. Without you, baby, the journey go too rough. So you know, girl, I be feeling this love. Even when I'm down, you wonder what's in this up. It's not blessing, I'ma not be luck. Baby, nobody feel day like you. I said nobody feel make me feel the way you do. I'ma get that low. Girl, you're the best I know. Our next move they never know, they never know. Money go check low. Girl, you're the best I know. Our next move they never know, they never know. They never know. They never know. They never know. They never know.
All right, everybody, we're back. Welcome to the Hohner YouTube channel. This is another Hohner Live episode, another interview. It's Friday. This is like peak time. This is like 8:15 p.m. here in Germany right now.
15 here.
Friday night, and this is episode 153, which is crazy. Let us know from where you're tuning in the chat. And I'm excited to talk to Corky for the very first time. If you don't know about him, he's one of the pioneers of modern blues harmonica, and he was born in Chicago. And yeah, brought Chicago blues to rock audiences in the 1960s already, sharing the stage with Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf. Later created chamber blues, which I'm very excited about to talk about too, which kind of combines blues improvisation and classical music, and performed with symphony orchestras around the world. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight.
My favorite subject.
That's amazing. And this is the first time we are talking to each other. Like, we never met at like some of the harmonica festivals or whatever, right?
It's true, and we really should have met. But I'm pretty much of a loner, I sort of, I don't hang out, but I love all the harmonica players. I love all you guys.
Yeah. So, from what I read, you grew up in Chicago at the exact moment when like electric blues was exploding, you could say.
Yeah.
What first pulled you towards the harmonica back then?
Well, I was, the short version, which is still long, I was listening to, well, actually, I was playing, someone said I should play the harmonica. And I was playing it more like a Bob Dylan style. A little bit. I was just learning. And a neighbor kept walking by, and who I never met, but he lived like a couple blocks from me. And he knocked on my door, and he brought 3 albums. He said, "This isn't the way you play harmonica." And he handed me a Muddy Waters album, a Howlin' Wolf album, and a Jimmy Reed album. and I fell in love. Here, these big LPs were going around, and these blues masters by Howlin' Wolf and Muddy and those guys were flying out of the grooves, of the records, and I was dancing around my parents' home in ecstasy. I mean, this was just, where did this come from? I mean, I'd heard some blues before, but this was just amazing. And so I started learning a little bit on the harmonica and a little on the piano, some of these tunes. I met Jim Schwall, my guitar playing partner. We put a little repertoire together. We're looking for somewhere to play. We walked in the afternoon at this place across the tracks. We were the only white people for miles around. We walked in and we said, we'd like to play here because we had some songs, and we thought we should, we're playing in my parents' home or his apartment. We should be going out. So he said, well, set up here. The women are coming in this afternoon. You could play for them. And at that time I had a two-man band. I had a piano with a bass drum and a hi-hat, on a stick, and then I played the piano and the harmonica with one hand, and this kind of a thing. And we played, and he hired us to play every Thursday night from 9 at night till 4 in the morning.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And the first night we get there, and he hired a rhythm section for us. He didn't like the one-man band thing. So, and what I didn't know back then is I'm playing with all these famous rhythm sections. I never knew that. I just thought he just hired these local guys, So we're on stage, and the first night, Muddy Waters shows up. Right out of the grooves of our records. And he hops up on stage and sings with us.
Yeah.
And then on another night, Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, Willie Dixon, Buddy Guy, Junior Wells, James Cotton. All these people came and took us under their wing. And I finished this part of the story. So this one guy shows up. And he says, Corky, I'd like you to sit in. And I went, he seemed like he'd been drinking a little bit. And I said, why don't you come back another time? And all the audience members yelled, let him sit in, that's little Walter.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Konstantin, it gets a lot worse. Because I'm thinking, who's little Walter?
Nice.
I never read the back of the album covers, So I went, okay, come and sit in. And then he sat in, and I went, oh my God, that's little Walter. So that shows you, from learning a few songs, I'm on stage, and all these blues masters. And, all my colleagues, Paul Butterfield and Mike Bloomfield and all these guys, Charlie, they were all sitting in with these blues guys. We're, as I call this story, an innocent victim of incredible good fortune. Because there I am on stage with Schwall, and all these guys are coming up and playing with us, and we're there all night, every Thursday night. And that's how this whole thing started. Up until, I've been playing with Siegel Schwall on and off up until 2016, I think.
Okay, yeah. So I guess, it's obvious, the blues scene, it wasn't just music, it was the culture and the community. Like, what are some things that you learned or these musicians taught you that isn't really, you could never learn from books?
Right. Well, the one thing that was a major lesson in music performance from these blues masters was, whoever you are, whatever you are, however you do what you do, you throw yourself 100% into the performance. And the classical music, the school of thinking, is let the music do the talking. And it makes sense. And in jazz, that's the same thing. Don't, let the music do the talking. No, not in blues. You let your whole existence be part. Your personality, everything
Yeah.
is part of the music and the performance, and and that's what I learned. So there's no rules. It's just you throw yourself in there, and it also applied to the choices we were making of what kind of music we were playing. And Jim and I never thought of ourselves as a blues band, and we talked about that, and we said we do a lot of blues tunes, and we were inspired by the blues, but we could do whatever we want. And actually, Howlin' Wolf, who followed us and he came to the north side and brought his whole family, he's told me that Siegel Schwall was his favorite band. And the reason it was, he says, because we didn't do stuff like everyone else. We were unique. And then he took that back. He said, no, you're not my favorite band. He said, my band is my favorite band. And then he took us on the road. And I don't know if did you see that picture on my Facebook page with me sitting on Howlin' Wolf's knee?
Oh, okay. Not sure if I went to your Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a picture that was, I can't think of the guy's name, but that I'm sitting on Wolf's knee. Jack Myers, who was the bass player for Junior Wells and Buddy Guy on the Voodoo Man Blues, he was Siegel Schwall's bass player when we went on the road to New York. And so it was me and Schwall and our drummer Russ and Jack Myers and Howlin' Wolf's band, but it was just Howlin' Wolf. I'm sitting on the guy's knee. And we used to take walks in the village every day. He'd knock on my door. We were, that's what happened. So that was 1965. Where were you in 1965, Konstantin?
I don't know, but that's like my dad was born in '64, so that's the only connection I got to these years.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that was my introduction into the blues. And I know I was drawn there because of, like a lot of my colleagues in those days, because of a political the racist kind of thing. And we didn't feel comfortable in our own neighborhoods, So, boom, that was what was happening back then.
Yeah. So what do you think, like, looking back, that generation of musicians, what did they do, like, for the blues tradition?
Well, the black musicians had to play the Chitlin circuit, and there was not a lot of exposure. As Nick Rebenitis says, in Chicago, there was no such thing as Chicago blues. It was either South Side blues or West Side blues.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't called Chicago blues. No one knew the word Chicago blues. So they spread it around, and Mike Bloomfield very directly did by telling. In fact, there's a story he told Bill Graham. He said, "I shouldn't be playing here. You should get B.B. King." And so Bill Graham hired B.B. King, and that's how this whole thing happened. Is us talking about our idols to these club owners, and all of a sudden, boom, they're booking. But I take on a different role, and as they say, keeping the blues alive.
Yeah.
Or keeping the blues healthy, and that started in 1966.
That's crazy, yeah. So do you remember about your first instrument? Like, where did you get it? Like, which model was that back then?
Yeah. Well, when I was 8 years old or something, I think, or 6 or 5, someone gave me a harmonica. My parents gave me a harmonica. But are you talking about my first instrument, like clarinet? when I was 8 years old.
Oh yeah, I was asking about harmonica now, but it's funny that you also started out playing clarinet. That's also the instrument I played before the harmonica.
And Paul played flute. Paul Butterfield played flute.
Oh, okay.
And which is why I wasn't a tongue blocker, why I was playing single notes. Because
Yeah.
I was learning my harmonica not from other harmonica players. I was learning it from singers and from what I played on my saxophone. So on my saxophone, I was improvising based on all the vocals, Billie Holiday, Little Richard, all that kind of stuff, and I started playing that way. And then I transferred what I knew from the saxophone to the harmonica, so it was single notes, So
Yeah,
I love
okay.
tongue blocking. I love the idea and the sound and everything like that.
So, I mean, you do tongue block too sometimes.
Rarely,
you?
yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I love it. It's a great feel.
Yeah.
And that's a point I always, in my workshops, I do a lot of workshops. I always tell musicians that what's important isn't how it sounds. What's important is how it feels. And if it feels good, you don't have to worry about the sound. Not a good instruction. But in my workshops, that's what I do.
But like back then, your first harmonica, was there like a regular marine band by Hohner or something else?
Yeah, I'm sure it was a marine band.
Okay.
And then I went to Golden Melody, and then it went to Special 20. And I'm sort of stuck with that because I've been doing it so long.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, in terms of spreading the blues, I should tell you the 1966 story.
Okay.
1 year after and that was called Pepper's Show Lounge. It was in 1965. So the blues started moving north, and Siegel Schwall started playing at Big John's because Paul Butterfield went on the road. They had auditions. I put a band together, and I should tell you, my drummer was in the marching band. And he said, Corky, I can't do this. I don't know anything about blues. I don't know. I said, so when Siegel Schwall played and auditioned at Big John's, I had put together a style of playing that everyone hated. all our contemporaries hated. So the drums would go click, 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 click. The bass, dum, 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 dum. So the feel wasn't dum, 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 dum. It was da, 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 da.
Okay.
But it felt tight. Even though we were a band just beginning, just learning how to play, we sounded tight and we got all the gigs. That was the trick.
Yeah.
So we knew how we were going to start the tune, we knew how we were going to end the tune, and we'd always do something in the middle where we'd come together. And that would be it. So we're playing at Big John's. This one guy comes in night after night after night. Obviously a big fan. And we weren't called Siegel Schwall then. It was just me and Jim. It was Corky and Jim. It wasn't a band. Even though we had a band, it was just Corky and Jim. And so this guy came in night after night after night. And one night he comes up to me and he says, Corky, I'd like your band to jam with my band. And I'm thinking back to the Little Walter story. Who is this guy? And what's his band? I better find out. I said, what's your band? His band was the Chicago Symphony, and he was Seiji Ozawa, Maestro Seiji Ozawa.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember sitting in Big John's with William Russo, the composer, who we chose. He was Stan Ken's trombonist and arranger. He wrote the Titan Symphony for Leonard Bernstein and Maynard Ferguson. He was the guy. And so me and Seiji and Russo are sitting around. And Seiji and Russo say, so Corky, how are we going to do this? A blues band with symphony. I said, well, first of all, we should do something for everyone to not like. And they love that.
Hmm.
Because, in other words, we should just write something and not relate it to anything else. Just write what we feel. And they said, well, what are we going to do? And I said, well, Charles Ives. And the composer Charles Ives did a piece that I call Music for Two Marching Bands. But it has another name. But it's where the composition is two marching bands playing different songs in different keys. It's just sort of cacophony, and that was written. But our point wasn't to make it cacophony. Our point was to make it tonal. But it's not. It's with Charles Ives, it was the same genre, playing two marching bands. This is one genre, the blues band, another genre, the symphony orchestra classical. Make it tonal, but make it two separate entities. So the thing that I just learned to explain about symphonic blues and chamber blues is that it's two compositions. When you have Silk Road, it's many different cultures playing one composition. And that's pretty much been the crossover thing. But the difference between the symphonic blues and chamber blues is that we keep the two entities separate and keep them as equal partners. So one isn't backing up the other. We're just using all the different possibilities, but staying separate. That's what makes the experience so amazing, is to hear blues.
Oh wow, that was loud.
That was it. To hear blues and classical chase each other around the room.
Yeah.
And when we had Ernie Watts, who's our guest in an upcoming show, the jazz saxophone player,
Right.
it's classical, blues, and jazz chasing around the room. Because I always ask Ernie, don't play blues. You're a jazz sax player, play jazz. And let's see what happens. That'll be fun. So it's what makes the... Oh, so anyway, the concept of keeping the blues alive and bringing it, we were playing... I'll tell you one story, and then I'll let you start asking questions.
Yeah.
So New York Philharmonic, 1969. Siegel-Schwall wasn't together at the time, but I put a band together. We get on stage to play three pieces for a blues band and symphony. The audience starts booing and hissing, like intense. And it was like out of control. And Seishi says, Corky, what should we do? Well, he knew what we should do, but he was asking me, because I'm a young, I was 25 maybe. I said, let's just play and have some fun. So we played. At that time, there was America was very divided. There was the hippies and the establishment. And so the people in the audience said, we don't want hippies on stage at our Lincoln Center.
Right.
And we don't want hippies playing in front of our New York Philharmonic. But as soon as the last note of the concert happened, immediate standing ovation.
Oh yeah.
And the president of the symphony said that was the longest standing ovation he had ever heard. He said the only thing he compared it to was Caruso's last performance.
Oh wow. Yeah.
The next morning in the New York Times, it said they love Corky Siegel and this is 1969. They love Corky Siegel in Lincoln Center. And then within the article, it said the audience cheers ran through Philharmonic Hall like I've never heard before. The audience didn't merely like the performance. The audience loved the performance. So here's this 25-year-old kid who's been playing music for a couple years. You know what I mean? And I learned at that point, music uplifts, it heals, it unifies. It's extremely powerful. And I realized that's my role. That's my job in this. In the meantime, people are coming up to me and asking me about the blues. They never heard the blues. They should listen to the blues. I said, well, there's Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters and all these people. So we're playing to thousands of people that would never have heard the blues before and bringing them there with symphonies the top symphonies in the world, you know, well, at least, you know, New York Philharmonic, Philadelphia Orchestra, San Francisco Symphony, 2 records on Deutsche Grammophon, one went platinum,
Yeah.
and one sold hundreds of thousands. That's us bringing the blues to people who had never heard it before. And then they become Howlin' Wolf fans or Buddy Guy fans or something. And the way the blues community treats this is, oh, Corky, he's not doing the blues, you know, it's not a blues thing, you know. But I'm probably, I mean, I don't care, but I'm probably I probably brought more people into the blues than any of the blues bands. So anyway,
Yeah.
I got to throw that in. We don't care about stuff like that, but it's fun. It makes it all fun. You know, someone said, how come you're not more famous? I said, look, if I was famous, I wouldn't be able to get to surprise anybody. Okay, I told that
But
story.
yeah, that's something I wanted to ask too. I mean, you answered a lot of stuff, like just like if there was like any resistance on like either side, like classical musicians and blues musicians. Like how about nowadays? I mean, you know about people who still play this with an orchestra?
Play the piece.
Yeah.
Besides me, there are a friend of ours, someone that you know, did play a part of 3 pieces for blues band and symphony or street music. I'm not sure which. In England, I can't think of his name now. He's
Okay.
a major British harmonica player, an older guy.
And what was like the compositional process, you could say?
Yeah. Well, I worked with William Russo on those 2 pieces. And, okay, this will be good. So, okay, I would break it down mathematically. I'd say, okay, we're going to do a blues ostinato. Well, doom, 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 doom. That's more of a melody, but doom, 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 do 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 do, and then the symphony go. There you go, blues and classical. Hello.
Yeah.
And then the classical would give a classical ostinato. Da da. This is just an example. We didn't specifically do this, but it's a simplification of the process.
Yeah.
Ba da 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 da. That's called the Alberta bass. It's a classical bass. Da 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 da, and then, you know, ba da 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 da. You know, and I would form the blues around to fit with that, but I didn't play any classical stuff. I just, you know, compose the blues to fit with that kind of a thing. So there you have the classical, you know, you know, and then the call and response, you know, the classical, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So all the possibilities, but keeping them separate was the key. So it's not a blend, it's not a mix, it's not a fusion. It's 2 entities existing. It's mind-blowing. So that was the process. And when I write the symphonic stuff myself, or the chamber stuff, I have no idea what I'm doing, which makes it really good. Because I get these commissions from symphonies saying, no one else is writing music like this. It's because I don't know what I'm doing. I take a measure and I come up with, okay, I need some classical sounding thing.
Yeah.
And so I'll make sure it's very diatonic and okay, now how could I do a blues thing to? So it's a measure at a time, and it's all trial and error. It's like very slow improvisation, you know.
Yeah.
And I love everything that comes out. Otherwise, I wouldn't be finalizing it. So that's how I do it.
So, like, was there anything you discovered about the harmonica, like, additionally, while putting the harmonica in front of an orchestra? Like, what are some takeaways there, like, during the compositional process, but also just, like, standing there in front of...
Yeah. Well, first of all, there's the technical part. And when Siegel Schwall or my blues bands played with the symphony, we played at their sound level. So there were no glass separators. We didn't want to be separated in
Yeah.
that way. So they would ask us to turn up. The symphony would say, we can't hear the, guitar or this, and then we'd turn up a little for them. That's the way you got to do it to make it music. Otherwise, it's, so that was the whole technical thing, and it was so beautiful because there was no, the music wasn't stressful, But anyway, so but playing in front of a symphony, you do that. Are we lucky? Because you have this amazing sound wrapped around you, so dimensional and beautiful, and then you just get to, it doesn't matter what you're playing on a harmonica, it's just you're standing there and
Yeah.
hearing this. And then, of course, rhythmically, wow, isn't that interesting?
Different.
Yeah, especially some of the conductors, their downbeat is like this.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? Especially because you're a European fellow. The European style tends to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1 is up. So you got to get used to that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
But I feel, the folk music aspect of it. People together, people playing music together. And I had one conductor say, we don't do any, this was a local symphony, we don't do any auditions. People just come, they want to play. And I toured with that group to England and played in London and Turnberry Ridge, somewhere. But they played out of tune a little bit, and the conductor apologized, and I said, no, this is folk music. This is people. This is the height of playing music. Is people together playing music because they love it, Where some of the symphonies are a little more professional. It's not the same kind of a. But it's, in my mind, it is. So that's a symphony thing. Yeah.
And it was only later when you founded Chamber Blues, right?
Yeah.
So, what was the exact concept of this? Yeah, maybe you can tell the audience.
Well, I was finishing up a commission for the National Symphony and the Grant Park Symphony. And it was 1983, and I went, I can't do this anymore. I'm just a guy playing in the blues mode. I can't be writing symphonic music. I'm not a composer. I took a composition class, and they kicked me out. I never, because but I could write chamber music. Writing for a full symphony, I could write chamber music. So I thought of a string quartet. Wow. And this was 83, was a time when people were using synthesizers a lot. And I said, this will be wooden. It'll be wooden. And I don't want traps. I don't want bass. I don't want never hear another guitar again. I just want a string quartet. I want some percussion. So that's where tabla came in, because it's very wooden. Nice wooden sounds. So every day I would say to myself, I just want to do the work. I just want to serve the muse, whatever comes out. I don't care if it's successful. I don't want the credit. If it completely fails, I don't want the credit. I just want to do the work, just whatever comes out. And I try, because the tendency is we forecast what people are going to think. And that's the kiss of death to individuality. It really drowns out our individuality, which is such a rare, beautiful thing. That's what we really want to offer. Instead, I'm thinking, are people going to like that? You just got to do it, you know. So that was my process for chamber blues, and when I presented it to the first string quartet to record, to get an idea of, you know, how it's working, they thought it was filled with wrong notes.
Yeah.
You know, simply stated, I had a lot of E flats written and C major. So I had the minor over the major in a way that you don't hear, because they weren't leading tones, they were harmonic
Yeah.
tones. And you know, and then they played. I said, no, just play it. And they played it, and they went, wow. And they said, could we be in this group? I wasn't planning on having a group. I was planning on
Okay.
doing solo shows and picking up and rehearsing with string quartets. But they insisted on being the group, and all of a sudden they had a group. That's how that happened. We started playing in '87. I had written enough music by that point. And I told my wife, Holly, this is going to change our life. Should we do this? And she says, absolutely.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, we had all this work to do.
I mean, I guess your
And I
answer.
thought,
Yeah.
what? I thought people were going to hate it. I didn't care. I had to do it. It was like the reviews were 100 times better than anything I got with Siegel Schwaller in my solo shows, or anything. The reviews were like just just the San Jose Mercury News. He's a god. I'm speechless. This left me speechless. The most feared classical critic. We had a booking agency at one point. Said, avoid this guy like the plague. He's really a mean classical critic. You're playing Phoenix, Arizona. You just got to avoid this guy. Well, the quote we took from him is outrageous fun.
Yeah.
So that was it. So the critics were just loving it, and it was a surprise to me, to tell you the truth, because that's not why I did it. Anyway, I didn't expect to.
I guess your answer is kind of obvious, but like, do you think the harmonica still has like some unexplored territory in classical music?
Oh yeah, it does. Well, as you know,
Yeah.
because you do that, yeah. But my role is the guy who plays the blues licks, not the blues licks, but the blues mode. So, and finding ways of creating that contrast with the characters. It's a lot of fun.
I mean, if I remember correctly, Howard wanted to premiere his second concerto last year, right? But it didn't really happen to this point, did it?
It didn't?
I'm not sure.
Oh, I don't know.
It got postponed or something.
But, the pieces that I wrote were not because I would never do something like that to myself. But there were commissions, and I turned every one of them down. Arthur Fiedler, I said, no. Arthur Fiedler in the city of San Francisco, 1976, commissioned me to write a piece, for Arthur Fiedler, for the 6,000 people coming to the Civic Auditorium, and they wanted me to write 20 minutes of music. I never wrote anything before. That was my first commission, and I said no. And they had to talk me into it. And so that's the way it's been. So I would never do anything like that to myself. But because they were commissions, they all got premiered. And the Russo pieces, of course, got recorded, and I just recorded this last one. And in terms of Howard, Howard lives just a little ways from here.
Okay, yeah.
And I know you are very close with Howard, and I toured with him a lot, just he and I.
Right.
Doing a lot of duet shows, which was really, really fun and funny. And I would turn to Howard after the first 1 minute of us playing the harmonica thing together. And we'd be going, and then I'd turn to Howard and I'd whisper in his ear. I'd say, Howard, you already used all the notes. So we had a lot of fun. And I would explain to the audience what Howard is doing.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, people don't naturally just understand that what he's doing is impossible. Of course, you're doing it now too, but that, that really what he's doing was never done before, and it was like an amazing achievement. And he's just, as far as the audience knows, he's playing the harmonica. So I would always explain, and he loved that, because I would explain, this is why you're sitting here with Beethoven and Einstein and Benjamin Franklin. You are sitting in the presence of greatness, and I want everyone to understand that with Howard. So that was Howard.
Yeah. Talking about the instrument, like, what would you say makes the harmonica such a powerful emotional instrument?
Well, I think the classic answer to that is that it is attached to the breath.
Yeah.
And I'll show you right now. I was thinking about doing this for you. I've never done this for anybody, but I thought of, and I did it. I have a harmonica lesson online at a Carnatic school in India, and this is where I do this. But this is it. So I want everyone to be able to pick up the instrument and play it immediately. But not only play it immediately, but make it sound like music immediately. And so I tell them, you have been breathing your whole life. You're very good at that. And it's very dynamic. The breath isn't the same strength all the time. It's always different. It's going in and out. You've been playing a beautiful song your whole life. When you put the harmonica to your mouth and continue to do that, it comes out as a beautiful song. And this is how to do it. What more do you need to know?
Nice.
So when I give my workshops, they're music workshops, they're not harmonica workshops. It's not about the instrument. Any instrument and any player can be soulful, and I have discovered there's a simple way to do it. Doesn't matter what you're playing. If you apply this to what you're playing, it becomes a masterpiece. And the name of my workshop that I'm doing now is called From a Song to a Masterpiece. And the key to that was not but that's it. That's the whole workshop. My workshop lasts 1 minute.
Nice.
But that's really the key to all of that, to the soul. That's, to me, the soul is in allowing the dynamics to play. The muse wants to have fun. Let it have fun. So let the dynamics happen. As a matter of fact, in order to let them happen, our psychology is so thick that we have all these reasons why we shouldn't play with dynamics or shouldn't play with so much. It gets in the way of allowing the muse to go with the dynamics. Anyway, I could go on for hours and hours and hours explaining this, but dynamics brings dimension, rich tonal quality, extra rhythmic value, pulls you and the audience in, tells a story, da 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 da. And when you take your dynamic range and go like this, you've just thrown all that away. That's it. It's my short version as opposed to my hour version.
Yeah. You kind of answered my next two questions already. That's amazing.
Well, you brought up soul, and I feel like, okay, let me add one more thing. To do that, to be able to really play with dynamics, it is psychologically extremely difficult. Skill-wise, it takes no skill. Anybody could do it. I teach 6-year-old kids. I don't teach them. I just say do that, and they do it. And so everyone could do it. It's not a skill. It's just a psychological barrier. So what it takes to make sure it's happening is you are constantly on the edge of your seat. Playing music isn't comfortable. Really playing music is not comfortable. You are pouring every bit of your energy into allowing the muse to go. And that's in the dynamics, that's the one focal point. Many things they tell you, focus on the ball when you're at the plate. Focus on the ball. But they don't tell you what to focus on in music. Focus on keeping the dynamics flowing between a large dynamic range. That's all I got to say. That's the answer. But it takes all your energy to do that.
Oh, yeah. So
that was my soapbox.
You would also say like dynamics, that's like the main, in terms of means of expression, like that's the thing, right? I mean,
there's nothing else.
That's what I kind of wanted to ask next, like where does the expression come from? But that's the answer.
Where does it come from? Let's see. Boy, that's a good question. A child one time said, why do musicians play with their eyes closed? And before I had a chance to try and think of an answer, another child said, because that's where the music is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, if you think about, like, a young harmonica player who wants to develop their voice, like, what should they focus on? Is it just dynamics or something else, too?
Yeah. They're going to do everything you do, but dynamics should be first. Because that's expression. And that's where the joy comes from. It's like air guitar. It's not about the sound. You could feel the expression. So it's about the physical thing you do in order to make the sound. That's where the controlling factor is. So dynamics is the living version of that. And it's really intensity variation. It's the intensity variation that you put into it comes out as dynamics. But my violist who rejoined the group, Grammy winner or Grammy nominee, I think, he came into me and said, Corky, darn it, I hate to admit this. You're such a jerk. You were absolutely right. There's nothing else but dynamics. There's nothing else you need to think about but dynamics. After years of being away, he came back, and that's what he told me. And so anyway, I think I've made my case about that.
Yeah. There's Travis.
But I've heard you, and you play with beautiful dynamics.
Oh, that's I'm happy to hear that. Yeah.
We could all do more,
Yeah. There's Travis in the chat. He says, Corky played a lot of solo work without a band. What was the longest set you ever played by yourself without a band?
Oh, what was the longest set?
Yeah.
Well, I always play a couple hours, and that's like nothing. I could go forever, I have a lot of material, and I improvise a lot, so I could. But, my sets, I don't know about the longest set, but probably 2.5 hours, which is not that much more than normal. 2 hours is more of a normal thing. Yeah.
Nice. What would you say, like maybe also keeping up to date with the scene and like with the instrument, like how has the role of the harmonica changed over the decades?
Yeah. You know, when for questions that fall into that category, like, you know, where's blues now or where's jazz?
Yeah.
You know, to me, it's just a question of money and a question of business, which fuels popularity. You know, so I don't know. I haven't really been paying attention. You could tell me. I'm sure you have that answer. 'Cause interviewing all these harmonica players, you know.
Yeah. I mean, there's like different generations already. For me, it was like starting out to play. It was like the big. I mean, that was probably the height of YouTube, because I mean that's how I learned. I watched all the Adam Gasso videos and Jason Ritchie videos, and back then also people were like still recording concerts on their phones and putting them up the next day.
Wow.
So like that's not happening anymore too often. It was like the worst quality ever. But yeah, like every single Jason Ritchie gig, like somebody had a phone up there and recorded something, put it up on YouTube, and I was looking every day for like new videos. And if there was like one single lick in there I couldn't play, I just like practiced until I could, you know? Like
Yeah.
that was my way of learning the instrument, sort of.
And you're in your. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
But yeah, now there's a lot of material. And I mean, it's probably not as easy to find the good stuff. I'm not sure. And also it's like so interesting, like thinking about like how can young people discover the instrument if it's not, I mean, represented at like music schools or whatever, or
Yeah.
It's not present on TV or in the radio, you know?
Well, I do a little thing on my harmonica lesson thing. And it's not I don't call it a harmonica lesson. I explained it's not a harmonica lesson. It's a music lesson through the harmonica.
Yeah.
But I explained the easiest instrument in the world to play is a keyboard. And I was touring the rural areas of India to different schools. And I would ask kids in the audience, if 500 kids in the audience, I'd say, how many here never played music? And we'd get a few people raising their hand. I'd say, come up on stage, I'm going to teach you how to play the piano. And they went, what? I went, yeah. I said, okay, follow my instructions carefully. And the one child said, okay. I said, here's my instructions. Go over to the piano and play it. And they went, what? I said, well, here's what you can do. You could play low, you could play high, with one finger. You could use your hands, you could play forcefully, you could play delicate, you could use your elbows, you could play your rhythms. Just go do it, have some fun. And they went over and did it, and they get a standing ovation. Never having played music. And I said, and so in this, I explained that in this workshop. I illustrate it. And then I say, now you could do the same thing on the harmonica. You know, you can, you know, if you want to play a melody or something recognizable, you have to learn some stuff. But besides the keyboard, the harmonica is the easiest instrument to play. You know, with the piano, you have to be able to breathe. Otherwise, you can't play the piano so long if you stop breathing. But with the harmonica, the drawback is you have to know how to breathe.
Yeah.
But the difference between the piano and the harmonica, even though the piano is a little easier, is you can't put the piano in your pocket. You put this in your pocket, and it's the easiest instrument to play. You could. You know? Very easy. So that's that's my approach to it. So I don't necessarily. My focus is not learning as much as it is playing, and learning from playing, rather than learning from learning. That's just a different approach. I would never tell a teacher to do anything different. I actually tell my participants not to listen. And when I work with orchestras or bands, I say, don't listen to each other. Who's going to say that? But
Yeah.
I have a reason for saying that, and it proves to be quite profound what happens when people don't listen. They actually end up hearing better. When you're listening, you have all this energy, and then you go, oh, listen, and then you take this energy that should go into your playing, and you're focusing over there. But if you don't listen and you focus deeply into what you're doing, you're going to experience everything. You can't avoid responding to it. And that has proven to be true. But I'd never tell a teacher, don't tell your students to not, don't tell your students, you know, what on. But anyway. So you're dealing with a crazy guy, I just have to tell you.
But that's nice, yeah. So, I mean, what keeps harmonica exciting for you today?
Yeah. Uh, I don't even think about this stuff. I knew you were going to interview me, and I know that I'm a different animal because I, 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 I I'm not. I should be, but I'm not mesmerized by the instrument,
Mm.
which I should be. I get it. I should be, but that's not where my mind is. It's really in expression. I started playing music
Yeah.
because I wanted to feel what it was like to play music, what that feeling of expression. I'd see people playing and their eyes would roll up in their head, and I go, I want to feel that. So the first thing I did when I was learning blues is I played, whoops, upside down, of course, not on the harmonica, on the piano. Over and over and over without changing the key for a month, trying to find out what is in there, what's that feeling, the goosebumps, that's how I started, and that's how I continued, and everything I do it's not technical. It's about expression, and I could everyone is going to be so embarrassed to hear this. I only play in one position on the harmonica. If I change a key, I just change the harmonica.
Yeah.
Now, what do I do for minor? I just pick up a minor harmonica.
Right.
So I'm totally non-technical about the instrument. It's about the feeling of expression. And it's been a boon to my life. And, it's a boon to playing music because, I found my focus, which is the intensity variation. That's a challenge. That's a constant challenge. And that's where I live. And I'm playing, the whole time I'm up on stage, I got goosebumps. I'm totally in the zone. And I'm not even there. I have to ask my wife, so how was the show? And the audience feels, they come up to me, oh, you're so good to us. You share with us and you connect with us. And I don't think about that when I'm playing. I'm doing my job completely.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't really think about the techno. So I'm a pattern player. I play not notes but patterns. You know what I mean? Like that has a feel to me. It's not. It's a dance. It's not notes. And to me, that's the easiest way to approach an instrument. So I'm not taking on anything that's difficult. I'm trying to make it really simple. I tried to learn when I was playing saxophone, Roland Kirk solos. Failed completely. I could get through 2 measures. All my colleague friends playing saxophone were already working on Coltrane.
Yeah.
So I had to find a different way around it. I had to find a real simple approach to music. And I think, if anyone wants to take harmonica lessons and they're really, really beginners and they're really feel like they don't have any skill, I'm the guy to show them what to do. So no, I don't have that technical.
Yeah.
I'm mesmerized by the technical aspects of it. They are interesting, but I don't get into that. I'm too busy, feeling that.
And just
Maybe
in
I
terms
learned
of
that.
the instrument, the model you like playing most is
Yeah.
you're just like sticking to the Special 20.
Yeah, the Special 20. No particular reason other than I never liked the wood. When the plastic thing came out, I really enjoyed that feel compared to the wood sticking out and scraping my lips. In the old days, you don't know about
Yeah.
those old days.
No, I mean, when I started out, I still had like there was even a Marine Band Deluxe that like, yeah, that was really
Yeah.
swollen at some point.
Yeah. No, I mean, this could, a couple nights of performing and all of a sudden my lips are feeling it. But the Marine Band with the wood that would swell out when it got wet, I paid my dues.
Yeah, so before we close, like what advice would you give to harmonica players around the world, like watching this?
Yeah. Music, music, playing music should never be a burden. It should always be a joy. Now, if you're the kind of person that enjoys achievement, I'm not dissuading anyone from that. I'm just saying don't let that become a burden. It's practicing and learning stuff can be a really exciting thing, and you should do that. But I always say, whatever you're doing, if it's coming from you, then you're connected to it. It makes your life easy. You're connected to everything you're producing. You're very intimately connected to everything you're producing. Now, if you're a Bob Dylan fan, and such a Bob Dylan fan that you want to be Bob Dylan, and you learn to be Bob Dylan, that's individuality. Just because it's someone else, the point is that's your thing. So whatever your thing is, understand what your thing is, and don't as they say, fall for the opinions of others. Because their opinions are coming from the opinions of others. And their opinions are coming from the opinions of others.
Yeah.
So go with your feeling. It's important how you feel. That's my advice, because I see online some of my harmonica friends talking about, they're having trouble with this and it's making them miserable. They never want to play the instrument again and da-da-da-da-da. No. Do what you have to do to make sure it's fun.
Awesome, yeah. And where can people find your latest music and projects? I mean, I put all the links in the description box, but where are you most active?
Yeah, mostly it's 2 things. Well, it's chamber blues. No. What am I talking? Corky Music. CorkyMusic.com.
Okay.
And and you'll find the chamber blues, the symphonic blues, the solo shows, the duets and trios, and then there's Jingles for Democracy, which is my political project, because I always felt like music and politics were the same thing. When I played at the New York Philharmonic and saw how music brought people together, I see how politics could bring people together. Now, of course, you could hit someone in the head with a hammer, or you could build a house for someone with it. And I think politics can be a very positive, beautiful thing, because in a very tangible and physical way, it can unify people. Democracy itself is a structure for social harmony. So I'm very much involved in doing that. So jinglesfordemocracy.com is a project I've been working on.
Okay.
And I've been involved in that for 15 years, in general in politics. So it's...
I'm gonna add that to the description box. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. That was awesome.
So
Thank you so much for taking the time.
When are you coming to Chicago? When are you coming to Chicago?
That's a really good question. Yeah. I mean, I haven't even been to Spa yet, you know?
Really?
Yeah.
I was there even twice.
It's crazy. Like, and I mean, the only time I've been to the US, that doesn't really count. I've just been to New York City for
That
like
counts?
one single time, you know?
One time. What'd you do there?
Oh, that was probably 15 years ago already. No.
You were 6.
No. But maybe I was like around 18. I would just like met up with this harmonica friend of mine, Jay Gaunt.
Yeah.
He was a young player. Like at some point, like I learned from his YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And we linked up. Like he stayed there. He lived together with 4 other jazz musicians, actually. And I was staying there for a month. Like that was just, I don't know. That was just for meeting up. There wasn't like a big purpose, you know. Like I think we went to see a lot of concerts, and then we also saw this jazz pianist. Like he's gotten older now too, but he was like super young. Joey Alexander, like playing his first shows.
Wow.
He's like this. He was this. He's still like an Indonesian prodigy, and now touring the world. But yeah, Jay, I think he really got into poetry. Like he studied literature or something.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But yeah, we were staying in the middle of Manhattan, so like that was nice.
And there's something I should share with you, either off the record or on the record, it doesn't matter. When I recorded my last Symphonic Blues No. 6, do you know about it?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you read the liner notes by any chance? Because that
no.
secret's in there. No, okay. Oh my God. So I wrote it, I composed it in 2007 and toured a lot of places with it. And it's my favorite piece. And then there were 2 other commissions after that. But there was one major other. So it's called 6 because it was the 6th commission. So the way I recorded it is I sent the part, for instance, to the horn player. And I didn't give him a score, just gave him his part and the tempo markings.
Okay.
And I said, go ahead and record this and send it to me. So I did that with I think there were 40 musicians because some people were doubling, right? And I put that together. But what's interesting about that is when musicians are alone in their room, they're a soloist, even if they're playing a long note.
Yeah.
So when I sent the edited version to be mixed, my engineer said, wow. Because you could imagine when there's 15 violins and you're one of the violins, I tell people, don't blend. Don't blend. And Murti, the famous conductor, he said that same thing. There are some people in music that understand this perspective. Don't blend. Be individual. You know, it'll blend. You know, so everyone's in this. If you listen to the piece, every single person is a soloist.
Yeah.
I recorded a few of them, but most of them sent the parts in, so they were alone in the room.
But that's a good topic too, or like a good thought. The blending thing, because I remember playing with big bands during my master studies or like bachelor studies, like jazz studies, and like
With
sometimes I was
harmonica?
also
Okay.
and sometimes I was also part of like just the section in a big band.
Yeah.
And I mean, so many people would be like, "Oh wow, I never thought it would blend that well," you know. I mean, of course, like, why not? You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's music, you know.
Yeah. But everybody's like afraid of the harmonica not blending with other instruments. Like,
Wow. Yeah, that's a good point. I see your point. Well, yeah. You know, we just got to make sure we're not. We got to let the orchestra say, "Could you turn up?" You know. That's. I the other thing I could tell you is when I practice keyboard and it's a digital keyboard, I do it with the sound off,
mm-hmm.
so that I could feel just the touch on my fingers. But the clicking of the keys that come a second later, you know, is very distracting. So you really have to focus to feel that. And then I showed up to a gig, and they did the sound, and they gave me a digital piano with a monitor speaker. And then it was ready to do the show, and lightning had struck, and the monitor speaker was out, and I couldn't hear the piano. I could have played it fine that way, but the problem was the sound was coming out of the speakers in the house about a half second later.
Yeah.
You know, boom. I played. I was just doing 3 songs that evening. No problem, because I was so used to ignoring the sound,
Yeah.
and focusing on the thing that makes the sound.
Right.
Anyway.
Awesome. Yeah, I added the links. There will be another Hohner live in 2 weeks from now, I guess, and we're gonna talk to an Argentinian player, Nico Bueno.
Okay.
He's a Hohner artist too. And there's another harmonica challenge on March 22nd, 5th position. That's the topic. And
Fifth position. What is fifth position?
playing in the key of the 2-hole blow. Yeah.
Oh, it's a minor kind of a thing?
Kind of, yeah. It's just like the relative minor of playing a 2nd position major.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what's happening. Thank you so much, Corky, for joining us.
Thank you. I got
And
to tell all the things I wanted to tell.
thank you everyone for tuning in. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
My lady, you know me, no give up on you never. Wanna be with you forever, 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 forever. Oh baby, where we they go? Now forward ever, backward never. Them they pray make we run down never, 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 never. I'ma get that low. Girl, you're the best I know. Our next move they never know, they never know. Money go check low. Girl, you're the best I know. Our next move they never know, they never know. They never know. They never know. Without you, baby, journey go too rough. So you know, girl, I be feeling this love. Even when I'm down, you wanna waiting this up. It's not blessing, I'ma no be luck. Baby, nobody feel day like you. I said nobody feel make me feel the way you do. I'ma get that low. Girl, you the best I know. Our next move, they never know. They never know. Money go check low. Girl, you the best I know. Our next move, they never know. 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 My lady, you know me no forgive up on you never. Wanna be with you forever, 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 forever. Oh baby, where we they go? Now forward ever, backward never. Them they pray make we run down never, 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 never. I'ma get that low. Girl, you the best I know. Our next move, they never know. They never know. Money go check low. Girl, you the best I know. Our next move, they never know. They never know. They never know. They never know. Without you, baby, the journey go too rough. So you know, girl, I be feeling this love. Even when I'm down, you wanna waiting this up. It's not blessing, I'ma no be luck. Baby, nobody feel day like you. I said nobody feel make me feel the way you do. I'ma get that low. Girl, you the best I know. Our next move, they never know. They never know. Money go check low. Girl, you the best I know. Our next move, they never